Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of We Empower. I'm thrilled to have you with us today, so sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired. Let's make today count. In today's episode, we will have a great guest here introduced. It is Tatjana Kiel, the CEO of Klitschko Ventures, and many, many more. After we will have her in the talk, we will review an inspiring book. It is her book. It is a book which is called Face the Challenge. And I'm very much looking forward to having her also for this part and for reviewing the book. So let's wait. And first, let's kick things off with a song selected by her. And before we start, I would like to also share a few words with you, because Tatjana is not only the CEO of Klitschko Ventures, as I said, and a long, long time business partner of Dr. Wladimir Klitschko. They extracted with the Face the Challenge method from his expertise of almost 30 years of competitive sport. Tatjana Kiel is responsible for and develops the business areas based on the method, from transformation projects for companies and organizations to formats for individuals and teams internationally. So she sorted out a song which can't be better. It is Can't Stop by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So stay tuned. We empower today with Tatjana Kiel, CEO of Klitschko Ventures and a voice for the Ukrainians, but many, many more. Today here is a talkcast. Welcome, Tatjana. I'm very happy to have you here.
Anabel, thank you so much and welcome all.
You gave us a red carpet with Can't Stop by the Red Hot Chili Peppers song. And to be honest, it gives me always goosebumps because it is a song which can't be more actual. One of the lines which touches me always is the line, "This life is more than just a read through," which is a reminder to live life fully and intentionally rather than treating it as a rehearsal or something to passively drift through, as in today's fast-paced, technology-driven world where distractions and superficial interactions dominate. It's a call to be present, authentic, and to actively shape your own journey. And for me, it speaks a bit to the universal human need for purpose and creativity, making it incredibly resonant in a time when many feel disconnected or overwhelmed. Is this something which speaks out also for that what you're facing with your activities, where you founded We Are All Ukrainians a few years ago, which is a kind of initiative and a shout out for everybody getting involved and supporting?
First of all, I have to admit that I borrowed this song because Vladimir was using it when he was getting into the ring.
Wow.
Um, but I think it always showed our mental state and what we or how we perceive things. And right now we always have to start with ourselves, but we mostly find ourselves in saying what is wrong outside or who did something wrong. And so,
Yeah.
can't stop is something that I want to say every morning to myself, saying, okay, whatever happens, I will not stop because life is unstoppable. So we have to move forward. And the question is how? I can do it in a very bad mental state, saying everybody's else's fault, but not mine. Or I can try to find solutions, at least for me and the loved ones I have and the people I work with. And so, yeah, I would like to see Can't Stop as a good feeling of how to start the day.
Yes, that sounds great. And it might be also a good hack for our listeners. If they are looking for a song to start the day with, this might be the song. Also, with the history you are just sharing with us, that then this is a song of a lot of awards, out of a lot of triumph and a lot of experience. You founded We Are All Ukrainians, but you founded even more. You founded also the Face a Challenge and Score for Impact and Ladies Mentoring. Do you want to share a few words with us why you started that, what it means for you, and yeah, what it could mean also for the listeners?
I would like to start by telling a little bit of the history and where it comes from, because
Mhm.
you would think or see, oh, it's much, and she's wearing many hats, and I do, and I like that. But it always comes from a point where I didn't know what to do anymore. It's a kind of point of no return where I would say, okay, we have to change something. So. I was working with Vladimir for almost 12 years in the boxing
Mhm.
department, right? And I realized that he wanted so much more. He wanted to have a career after the career. He wanted to see a rising star after, after the sport career. And he wanted to see, I don't know if you have that same thing in English, but we call it black hole,
Mhm.
where sport guys mostly, because they only have one thing they do, and it's sport. And after their career stopped, and mostly it stops because the body is not working or the mental state is not working, and not because they wanted to stop. So
Mhm.
when they stop, then they don't have anything, and that makes people anxious. And he wanted to have something where he could rely on and where he could start and have another career. And that's why we said, okay, there is so much experience. And if we want to share these experience for other people, then we have to build bridges and we have to explain how you did it or what you did in special occasions, and how you reacted. Because, the sentence, what can we learn from sport persons,
Mhm.
is so common, but it's so hard to put out intrinsic things all of the sudden
Mhm.
saying, okay, this is the solution, because that's not it. Otherwise,
Mhm.
leaders would be much more able to have more than an inspiration from these people. And that is
Mhm.
what we tried. And this is what faced the challenge is we looked at all the situations, and we always got answers from him like, I'm very good in concentrating on the right things at the right time. So that is why
Mhm.
we called it focus.
Mhm.
Agility, if another situation arises and I have
Mhm.
to be agile on the situation, because otherwise I'm not able to perform. That's why we call it agility.
Mhm.
Coordination is much about people trying to understand what resources do I have, but which resources do I need to really perform and to have or to achieve my goal. And
Mhm.
endurance always means it always comes differently. And that is not a problem as long as you know that. That is where agility kicks back. But also, what kind of routines do I need to adjust in the right situations? And
Mhm.
as I said, or as I said it, FACE is face the challenge. So it stands something behind it. And when we just started the method and doing all these consulting things here in Germany, Corona kicked in, and then all of a sudden another point of no return started, and it was the war. And I'm not Ukrainian, but I worked with so many, and obviously with the two brothers,
Mhm.
that I couldn't resist asking, okay, this is the situation where I could lose you both, and that is the worst thing that
Mhm.
could happen to me. So, what is it that you need?
Yeah.
And the answer was big on the one hand because it was so many things, but it was so small things that thought, okay, this is easy to get. Just,
Mhm.
I have to ask myself, what process do we need? And so we founded an NGO. I have a co-founder, Dörte Krupa. She helped me a lot saying, okay, we need an entity and we need something
Mhm.
that we can rely on. Um, she's doing mostly, she helped me with the financial part because I'm not really
Mhm.
good in it in the terms of on an everyday basis. I want to do things and I don't want to overthink it. So we're a good
Mhm.
couple. And what we've realized, helping and needs are changing so much that you
Mhm.
have to adjust. And of course, because of the method I was using for myself for such a long time, it was really easy for us to go through and say, okay, what is the real important part? What can we help? How can we help? What do we need? And who is our target group? And
Mhm.
mostly it's the children because they are very vulnerable, but mostly it's also the women because the faces of the war are mostly men, and the stories we tell are very hard. And the men's are telling the stories, and we wanted to change that. So we use social media throughout the whole day. Um, and then we realized, yeah, if you have all these learnings, how
Mhm.
can we put it for others? How can others use it? And that's
Mhm.
why we co-founded with two other very good women, Scope for Impact, saying, okay, we need to transport all our learnings from We Are All Ukrainians.
Mhm. That's great because it's not only giving you the learnings, but it giving you always also where we come from. So it gives the people a kind of remembering that they don't forget. Because what I sometimes think, I mean, we're so overloaded nowadays with, of course, fast happening things because of digitization, new technical gadgets, the new software. But of course, the war is always there. And we are getting other conflicts in other countries. And sometimes I think our brain says it's enough or it's too much. And this is, of course, a problem for everybody who needs support, who needs help, and who needs attention if the attention gets down because of it's too much. Is there something which where you said this is the solution we found for this? Is it maybe the social media, where you showed people single persons, single yeah, just
Stories.
stories to share with them?
I have to say, I have to start with myself here. I
Mm-hmm.
think my biggest issue the last year was that I saw that people are not really into the stories because our society's challenges are getting bigger and bigger, and we don't know how to handle them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, we have to start with ourselves. So I started with myself and saying, okay, what is it? How do I help myself in these situations? Because for me too, if there are too many things,
Mm-hmm.
things happen with me too. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to get too into details because it
Yeah,
hurts myself to see children crying, dying, whatever,
yeah.
taking away.
And
Um,
it hinders you from getting or using this power for other things, right?
exactly, doing the big things. And so I decided to deal more with decision making. I
Mm-hmm.
decided for myself what kind of decisions are important for me and what aren't, and how can I deal with the 20,000 decisions we are doing every day on an everyday basis. And if it takes me 20 minutes a day to decide what I wear or what I eat, then
Mm-hmm.
something is clearly wrong. So I changed that a lot,
Yeah.
understanding what kind of situations are very important and what are not. And these who are not, I try
Mhm.
to make routines out of it so I have more space in my head to really
Super.
focus on the big ones. And this is something that helped me. And so I try to give that to
Mhm.
others also because it's too much outside. In Corona
Mhm.
times, we had too
Yeah.
many things to do because
Mhm.
um, we couldn't go out to do sports.
Yeah.
We had to do other things. So, or we had to clean and to cook every time because we couldn't go out. So,
Mhm.
in terms of that, we have to find better solutions to make it a routine so we have more
Mhm.
space for other things. And that's what I'm trying to do. And this is what I'm trying to explain, because then you have more space also to think about what is the real problem right now outside and what
Mhm.
is not. And if I
Absolutely.
see that, then I have a comparison in my head, and my heart also sees, okay, that is worth thinking about, and that is not.
Yeah, great. And I mean, it seems that you managed to know or to face it, how it is to stay in the driver's seat than to stay in the seat of just reacting what is back, forth, right, there. Because this reacting, as you are saying, is consuming a lot of energy and you can't define it, you can't hold it. You can just react it and are then in a kind of hamster circle where you don't get out. So I'm
But
very, very,
actually, it is a decision to
yeah,
step out of this wheel. But
that's
there are
right.
consequences, and you have to think about the consequences. And mostly
Hmm.
people don't want to get out
Yes.
because it's hard and it means you have to change things and that
Hmm.
you might change.
Yeah.
Um, and just in comparison, we have 20,000 decisions we do on an everyday basis,
Mm-hmm.
mostly unconsciously, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we have like 40 decisions, big decisions made in a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to be quite honest with you, that means every 1.5 years we are going to change anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So it means
Exactly.
you can be afraid of change, but it doesn't matter because it will come to you anyways. And the question is, do I face them openly or do
Mm-hmm.
they catch me? And I'm
Exactly.
not talking about if somebody dies around you and you
Mm-hmm.
didn't see that coming. I'm not talking about that. But, do you want to change jobs? And there are so many big decisions we have.
Mm-hmm.
And we should concentrate on them and seeing how to adjust when this changed.
Exactly. So stay tuned. We see each other back in 2 minutes. And then I'm very happy and I have already some questions where I'm very much looking forward to getting the answer and which will be super interesting also for our listeners. We continue with the talk with Tatjana Kiel, CEO of Klitschko Ventures, author of the best-selling book Face the Challenge. And Tatjana, you said in one of the interviews that you that the people are looking always for for a good life, and sometimes forget about these routines. That the most important is that you stay agile and that you you ask yourself about the routines. And on the other hand, we know that routines are not consuming that much energy. And you said before the break that daily we are having about 20,000 decisions to make, small decisions, and about 40 alive, you said. So, I mean, as we know that the change happens, whatever we do, if we react or if we just act, why don't we act more? What keeps us away from doing this?
I would say bad habits. Not making a decision is also a decision. And then the decision comes to you. And if that is how you want to live your life, that is a decision everybody else has to make, right? But
Mhm.
I would say that if you want to be in the driver's seat, you really have to understand where you want to go. And the way how to get there is differently and it will change. And that
Mhm.
is not a bad thing. I think the question is how active you want to be part in your life. So, and everybody has to decide. That's very hard. If how do you say in German? You have the same saying for horses. You can bring them to have water,
Mhm.
but you cannot force them to drink. You
That's
know,
right, exactly.
it's everybody has to decide that for themselves.
But isn't it weird? Because I mean, you also said in another interview, we as a humans, we are looking for things which are bigger than us. We want to have this next big thing we're all believing to. So why aren't we understanding us and everybody is understanding us as a part of this, as a shaper, as a facilitator, as somebody who has a chance to get even more than that? Why does it often need a situation where we feel horrible, where we feel conflicted, where maybe something happened to us? You said before the break, maybe somebody dies, so then we have to change. We have an accident, we have to change. Why does it often need this worst situation that we start acting while the current situation is even not the most comfortable?
I don't think that people see it as uncomfortable, actually, right? And that is the
Damn
problem.
it.
Yeah. And I mean, this is our bubble now. We
Hmm.
want to belong to something bigger. And if you talk
That's
to
right.
people, they have so many problems on
Hmm.
an everyday basis. They have to deal, do we have enough money? Do we have enough food? And that even happens in Germany, right? So,
Hmm.
or also in England. So the situation of belonging to something else is like a dream, but it's
Hmm.
not reachable for them. And that makes it so hard to decide to wanting to do that. Um, And of
Mhm.
course, it's a mindset. But if you have so much struggling with your everyday life and you are fighting with the children, you're fighting with
Mhm.
your parents, your husband, whatever, it makes it very, very hard to have the feeling of being in the driver's seat because everything is falling onto you. And to get out of this hamster wheel, again, it is something you have to decide for yourself, and you have to decide. I had a very, very hard time when my daughter was 2 years old. She was sick all the time. Every parent knows
Oh,
that. And
yeah.
to that time, I was not sick as bad that I had to lie in bed, but I constantly felt not
Mhm.
mentally and healthy,
Mhm.
mentally good and healthy. So,
Mhm.
and then I asked a friend. She was a doctor. Mental doctor, and I
Mhm.
said, okay, how do I change that? And she actually told me, you decide if your child is getting your energy or your child is taking energy from you. It is
Mhm.
your decision to make.
Mhm. Very wise.
That meant, yeah, and that meant for me in that situation, I would go down, I would look at her, and I would say, this is your time now. We have 2 hours, we do whatever you want, and my
Mhm.
full focus is on you, on nothing else. There is no cell phone, there is no whatever, right? Uh, and then I need 1 hour for myself, and then we find another solution. So what I
Mhm.
wanted to say is, it helped me a lot to understand where energy goes and where
Yeah.
energy flows and
Mhm.
where I wanted to take my energy from. And so
Mhm.
I took energy from her because she was so energetic to that moment, saying, "Okay, and I want to do this and that and this and that." I took this energy for
Right.
myself, not
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, but I don't want to do this," or
Mhm.
"Oh," and I think that makes it much easier to understand
Mhm.
on an everyday basis how you can change small things so you get
Mhm.
energy, and not have the feeling that everything is just very hard and
Mhm. And I think what you said, it's very important. I mean, even in the situation where you felt weak, you put yourself into the driver's seat. You decided. You decided if you want to let your energy go or if you want to take your energy and what happens with that. And I think many people think that this is hard, being in the driver's seat because you're responsible.
Mhm.
And having somebody else who's responsible feels much better because you can say, he's responsible. I have nothing to do with it. I'm just here. But
Another thing I did was
yeah,
when I realized it was Corona times, when I realized I would say a sentence that somebody else's fault it is, right?
yeah.
Or I would complain. I had to do 10 sit-ups, just
That's great.
reminding myself where I'm going with my mind and what I'm
Yeah.
going to say, because what I'm saying, if it's negative, and I mean, do you like people who are talking badly about other people who are not in the room? I don't. And
No,
I don't want to be that person either. Sometimes I
exactly.
understand you have to understand from another perspective and so on.
Hmm.
But we should stay and focus on ourselves and what drives us, and understand in a positive way how other experience or role models can help us.
Hmm. Exactly. And I think often people also think too much about things which could be happened, which happened badly, instead of just doing. And this thinking about situation which has happened or hasn't happened, but just thinking makes yourself so slow because it's costing also energy, right?
Of course, and I mean, it's also a German saying. When you took one door
Yeah.
and you choose that door, then don't look back and complain and think about how the other solution would be. I mean, we see that in the young generation. FOMO is a thing, and I realize we have that too.
Mhm. Yeah.
But we didn't have so many options because of social media. We see too many, the young generation sees way too many
Hmm.
options of what they are missing. And I think that is a bad, bad thing. If you know the consequences and you choose one door, then you go through and you can look back once for reflecting and saying, was that a good decision? What would I do differently the next time?
Mhm.
But you wouldn't say, oh, again, oh no, that, why did I do this? This was worse, and this would be much easier, and so on. Then
Yeah.
you are living in the past, and you are living
Mhm.
a lie, actually, because you have to decide at one point.
That's right. And I mean, you are giving your gifts, you're giving your talents also to young people. You are supporting startup teams with people which are willing to move something for the better. You are supporting also students in St. Gallen by sharing with them the idea behind Face the Challenge. What you're seeing there, I mean, I often hear that people saying, "Oh, the young people, they don't do things anymore, sitting around, watching any media device, YouTube, photographing their food." Um, do you get there some good vibes, good inspirations by seeing that there are people which know how to use their power for the good?
I don't think it has to be for the good exactly.
Hmm.
I think it has to be the power of being wanting to change
Hmm.
and seeing what is going on and not being okay what the old people are doing. Let's put it into
Yeah.
these words. I think what we are seeing on a higher level is that, and we talked with Oxford about it. The young generation, and we do have a problem with that, and we are going to have that in the next generation.
Hmm.
Um, we said we are helicopter parents, but we are
Hmm.
curling parents right now. So we are scrubbing the way free so the children are not falling, and they are not even
Hmm.
falling so they don't have to get up. If they don't learn to fall and to get up, then they would always say when they're 14, 15, 16,
Yes.
oh, you are talking to me? No, I'm not talking to you. And I play with my device or I turn around and I don't search the conversation. I just step out.
Hmm.
And that is a really bad thing. That is
Hmm.
a bad thing
Completely
because
agree.
we don't discuss anymore.
Hmm.
We don't argue anymore, and we need
Hmm.
these kind of conversations. So this is something we see is going on, and that is dangerous, to be honest.
I completely
Um,
agree with you.
but on the other hand, when I look at startup teams, for
Hmm.
example, I do see that the young generation is so willing to make this world a better place. And I'm not talking
Hmm.
about not just environment and stuff, but seeing that they really want to change things for the better. And most of these young people, they don't use TikTok and the social media things that like literally
Hmm.
make your brain dead. They don't use that much. They
Hmm.
use it for other purposes, but not to fall into a deep hole and not coming out of that again. So we should really take care for the 10 to 14 years old. I mean, before hopefully no one is using social media, not to use that.
Completely agree with you. And I mean, it said that you're an expert for showing posture, for standing, for showing your stand. What do you think? What could strengthen more kids than just the startup teens to get this? I mean, often there are complaints about schools where the teachers can or behave even not like this by themselves. So how can they teach this if they don't behave like themselves? Parents may struggle also with a war, with all these crises around. So what is it? What do you think? What method could it be? What media could it be? What initiative maybe or in general could it be to help?
I think we again have to start with ourselves. These are our children, and we want to
Yes.
give them values. I mean, at school can do that too, but is that really their purpose?
Hmm.
In one or two situations, talking about history or whatever, I would say yes, the school can also help.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, and how they communicate, right? But at the end of the day, it is us at the end of the day
Hmm.
having talks at the kitchen table, eating together, not complaining, not struggling with the everyday, but using
Hmm.
this time together and really talk about how are your feelings. We know there is a war.
Hmm.
I talked to my child. Obviously, there was not, it was not, there was not a possibility not to talk with her about the war, but
Yeah.
um, you know, giving her understanding and talking about the war does not mean that we talk about blood, danger,
Mhm.
dead people. It means what do we have here and what do we like? What I see and what I hear from children or young adults much often is that they tell us that what they talk about at night at the dinner, that
Mhm.
the adults are telling what to think,
Mhm.
no questions. It's
Mhm.
this what happened today is really bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this person, this politician said this,
Mhm.
this is just crazy. This is just stupid.
Mhm.
They
Without
don't
you
give
discussing, no?
Exactly. They don't give the surrounding of what do you think? What was wrong with
Mhm.
that? Which word was wrong? Did you hear what he said? I don't feel comfortable with it. What is your
Mhm.
feeling about it?
Mhm.
This kind of conversation starts with us, starts at
Yeah.
our home, starts with our friends.
Mhm.
And to dare to do that is the most important thing. And I think this is something so easy, but we are losing this touch of getting in touch with someone else.
You are absolutely right. And I think we see it also in political discussions, which are less than something like this. And where if we look in the past, where there was a firework of fighting, verbally fighting, I mean, sometimes, of course, also over the top, but it was a discussion.
Mhm.
And I also hope with you that we get back to that. Um, we have just a few minutes left for our talk here, and I would like to once also emphasize your work for the Ukrainians. You are an author too, and we will talk later also more about it. But you also brought to attention the fact of bring back the kids of what happens in Ukraine with kids getting taken away from their parents, and you also wrote a book about it, the stolen lives. And
Mhm.
can you maybe explain just with a few words and maybe then also give just one hack maybe how you work with that with this picture every day you can live and you don't lose too much energy.
The thing is that that history repeats itself constantly, and that drives me personally crazy. And when we saw that children got abducted, and it started 2014, and nobody really wanted to talk about it.
Hmm.
Also, politicians, they didn't even know. They told us, "No, are you sure? We don't think so." That's why
Hmm.
we wrote a book, because then, you have it written. You see when you read the stories of these children, it's a very good system, but the system shows that this is happening.
Yeah.
Um, right now, we are don't able to get children back from Russia, unfortunately. We brought many back, and we are trying to help them mentally to get back to their families or to the situation and to understand what is right and what is wrong, because the way they
Mm.
got forced into the camps and what to do in the camps is really, really heartbreaking, and it's just brainwashing. And sometimes it's just not easy to get them to give them the feeling of what is right and what is wrong. We
Mhm.
try to have older ones, because the younger ones sometimes, I don't know what is easier, to bring them back or to find them a family in Russia. I mean, it's hard to say, but it's
Mhm.
the mental state is
Absolutely.
not easy to deal with.
Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing this with us, Tatjana Kiel. We hope that many of our listeners also look at your initiatives, your books, and see how important it is to be part of this, to engage yourself besides this for the good and for self leadership by getting into the active role out of the hamster wheel. So, yeah, thank you very much.